Go. Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February, good question, 9th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I have made this my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue working for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, well, today we're going to be looking at the basics of self-healing. But before we get into it, definitely a big thanks to Storm, who is in the background making absolutely certain that the technology runs as well as we can get it, as well as keeping all the problem children away. Now, understand, I've got no problem with what other people's past is, with what any of your past is, as long as you treat this place, this particular chat room, as a safe zone for everybody. Correction, for virtually everybody. Problem children will be removed. You'll still be able to listen. Okay, absolutely. But you won't have access to make any comments or ask any questions. That is, by the way, not Frank's doing. I mean, it's his doing, making sure the Storm gets things done. But it's my doing to say, here's where the boundaries are. Okay, now and then we have LA Moon in the chat room. She helps keep the conversation going, as well as keeping a real close eye on what my health is doing. Kind of an idea if I don't desire to drop dead again, which in all fairness, the jury's still out on that one. But for the time being, let's keep it that way. Now, before we go any further here, we have Renee Andrews is in with the gold. How you doing, Renee? Glad you could make it. Hopefully things are going well on your end. And in with the silver, we have Operation Shutdown. And I know your day gets carried, gets carried away sometimes. And we scroll down a little, and who do we have here? Cowie Snyder, how you doing? And Cowie is saying hi, Kira.
Oh.
Well, actually, in all fairness, said hi, Keith and Kira.
Okay. Hi.
And let's see, who do we got here? And yep, that is where we are sitting right now. Barely got the doors open. We've got 7 in the room.
Oh,
and I
great.
do not believe that.
Wow.
Well, great. Actually, I do believe that.
We've got some great supporters here.
We have 670 subscribers at this point, so we are growing. And that is the whole purpose here. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Our world, in case you hadn't noticed, is not in great shape. Okay. And Renee is also saying hi, Kira.
Okay. Well, hello.
Ferret, how you doing? And what do we got? Renee, that brings, what do we have? That's gold, silver. Cowie came in with the bronze, and that means that Ferret, you came in with honorable mention. And right behind you comes in Joanne. So Ferret, glad you could join us. Hopefully you're getting things moving in the right direction for you. And yes, I do have my coffee. This is a good thing. I've only had one pot today. But I'm sure by the end of the night, I'll get another one racked off. Now, when we start looking at self-healing, first thing that we have to understand, that I absolutely desire you guys to pull together with, is this is in addition to modern medicine modern medicine, naturopathic remedies, herbalistic remedies, whatever. It's all together. This is not a replacement. Okay. And Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The nice part about it is because everything is very solidly connected. Okay, you've got to look at your nutrition. You've got to look at your energy levels. Okay, sleep patterns, the whole 9 yards. And so here's a couple of neat little pieces of information that you may not realize. Okay, when I was a lot younger, I heard tell everybody was talking about you got to get 8 hours of sleep. Now, I always felt over like I've been oversleeping anyway. But when I looked at it, I figured, okay, if everybody is getting 8 hours of sleep, well, let's start with the obvious. You're sleeping a third of your life away. Now, to me, this seemed like a waste of time. So, just on a whim, I calculated it out and figured, okay, what would you actually gain if you cut your sleep to 4 hours a night without losing any of your health, without losing your functionality? Sleep is definitely required. And for those of you that are true insomniacs, I do feel for you. But when I worked it out at 4 hours a night and calculated out, remember the qualifier, we are talking about getting only 4 hours of sleep a night without losing your life, without losing your quality of life. You drop your sleep that far, okay, what you've got by the end of the day, by the end of the year, is you've gained a month and a half living time where you can get things done. Now, there's lots of things that will contribute to problems, okay, not the least of which is depression, okay, bad diet. If you've got depression, if you've got bad diet, and here's the kicker, guys. If you're watching, videos, movies, television, anything that is optically stimulating, okay, and this is clinically proven by other people. It's something I've seen by opera and by observation. But if you're watching anything that is optically stimulating, you're not going to sleep well. And the reason for that is your brain doesn't shut down. Now, just scrolling down here, and what do we got? Operations going, Keith, how many hours do you usually sleep per night? I've been tracking my sleep for the last 2 years, and literally between midnight and midnight of each day, okay, I averaged last year, 2024, I averaged 5.06 hours, 5.06 hours a night for the entirety of the year. And I slept more in 2024 than I did in 2023. Because in 2023, I slept an average of 5.0 hours. Actually, if I recall correctly, it was 4.98. So I did get a little more sleep in 204. This year has started off really like I've been getting a lot more sleep than I usually do. Okay, so I don't know what my monthly is like, what my monthly sleep is like yet. I'm just looking here. LA goes, if I get 6 hours, I don't feel as well as I should if I get 8. I feel good and act right. And that's the whole thing. This is why I said, LA, if you're not losing quality, to put that in perspective, if I get 6 hours, I feel drug out. Okay. But here's the real kicker. I haven't had a cold. No, yeah, I haven't had a flu in 25 years. I had one cold last year. It lasted 2 days. Again, in 25 years. So, clearly I'm not going to sleep that much. But from your guys' standpoint, necessary sleep, and when I'm talking about necessary, I'm not talking about passing out because you've been up too long. Like I really feel for true insomniacs. Okay. I'm referring to find a comfortable bed. Not if you can avoid sleeping in a chair, and some of you can't. Some of you, it doesn't work. But you are better off stretched out as best you can. Okay? It simply helps the body relax. One thing, but here's the kicker with video. Okay? Video keeps your brain running. Okay? The auditory, I'm going to throw a little bit of a proviso in there. Your auditory is not a critical issue if you can see. If you can't see, if you're blind and you've got audio running, you may find you're not sleeping as well as you could be.
Now, I personally
Go ahead.
I personally can vouch for this. I'm actually totally blind if people weren't aware, and for me personally, if I have things on, especially if the auditory content is, let's say, more violent or something to that effect, I do not sleep well at night. If it's something that's calming, or like if I don't have any audio, or if I just have, say, like the environmental background, like the fridge or the clock or the person next to you breathing or whatever, that's easier to deal with. But I can absolutely vouch for the fact that auditory content can indeed and more than likely will affect your rest because of what penetrates your subconscious as you're sleeping.
I appreciate that, Kira. Some of what I have to work with is literally simply because of observation. Thankfully, much as I nearly went blind a while ago, thankfully, I did manage to turn it around. And that's where the self-healing comes in. Diet is critical. And I'm not talking about a diet of thousands of different pills to help you. Do not get me wrong. Okay? Do not get me wrong on that. Some of the medications out there are very useful. And if you're dealing with a doctor, absolutely, if they're helping you, stay with them. Okay, now, what do we got up here? Just checking back some of the comments. And Christine is going, yeah, she goes through the same thing here, on her end. Okay, and of course, Christine just goes, that she sleeps in pieces sometimes. That's the neat part about me, is I'll go to bed at 11 o'clock. I'll be up at 1 for another 4 hours, then get another couple hours of sleep. And Storm goes, I do not sleep well if LA's breathing isn't stable. I cannot understand why there, Storm. It's one of these weird things. If you actually like the person you're around, and their breathing goes into a problem, you're not going to sleep well. If you had a fight before you go to bed, the odds are you're not going to sleep well. And now, I am no sleep therapist. I will tell you from what I've seen, if you're not getting rest when you're sleeping, it has all kinds of side effects. So, a couple of things that you can do to accelerate your drop into a proper sleeping pattern. Okay, now I've talked to many of you multiple times over the years. Okay, take your hands, and you'll notice something really neat about this. Take your hands and put them palms towards each other, separated by about a half an inch to an inch. Concentrate on the field between your hands. Okay, you'll feel something there. Now, you may call it heat. You may feel a pressure or a pulse. Okay, this is the energy you're looking for. And the reason for that is once you know that energy is there, turn around and you literally concentrate on that energy. And you tell yourself in your mind, you don't have to say it out loud, but in your mind, you literally run the word heal through your mind. This will slow everything down, and it tells your body, because your brain is what tells your body when to heal. Most of it is autonomic, but it can be accelerated. And of course, for those of you, there we go. Now, Christine, since you've jumped on that one, here's a neat little one for you. You've got your hands together. What I'd like you to do, okay, concentrate on that energy and pull your hands apart a little. Okay, just very slowly, concentrating on that energy. See how far you can get your hands separated. Okay, now, in my case, well, my arms aren't long enough. Okay, but see how far you can actually get them to separate. Oops. Yeah, LA goes, actually, Storm's vigilance has saved my life a couple of times. I forget to breathe. It's a problem in places. Well, yeah, I can honestly tell you, if you stop breathing, it's bad for your health. You know, it's just one of those things that's a little bit of an odd setup. You know, I have found that when you do stop breathing, it's kind of like heart attacks. You know, you have a heart attack, your blood pressure drops. It's great. It's a bad idea, but when you're running that word through your head, that word heal, see, energy runs both directions. Bioenergy runs both directions at the same time. Unlike electrical energy, which literally, if you desire it to change direction, you've got to change the wiring connections so that you can get it to run the other way. Yeah. Fair goes. Oh no, lack of oxygen to the brain. You know, and yeah, lack of oxygen to the brain is a surefire way of slowing your healing rate down. Now, when you're looking at the world, okay, and you're going, I desire to heal, do not turn your back on modern medicine. And I will, now granted, I tell people flat out, if I'm not unconscious, I'm not going to the hospital. Okay, but that's me personally. You guys, if you're having a problem, I get a kick out of it. I saw it put one day, somebody says, well, what is your emergency number? Do you have an emergency number programmed into your phone? And somebody responded to him and went, I'm kind of the opinion that if I'm in serious medical trouble, I would prefer it if people just pick up the phone and hit, in Canada, you hit 911. Don't bother with the 10-digit number to get to your best friend or your parents. Get them to call 911 if it's an emergency. You can phone the parents or the family after the fact. Yeah, LA goes, I've got a machine that reminds me to breathe. Now, I could go into a very bad joke on that one.
No.
So we'll just leave that alone. But the thing with healing, your brain will tell you exactly, what do we got? Your brain will tell you exactly that this is how you got to breathe. And it does it automatically. The thing is, just like certain things will run automatically, you can focus on it in order to accelerate it. Okay. Christine goes, I was able to pull my hands about 2 inches apart and still feel the warmth. Now what do I do? Bonus. Now, Christine, and all of you, okay, you've got it 2 inches apart. Now your foot, just for example, your ankle is about, you'll require about 4 inches. When you get your hands, you start working with it like any muscle. You can enhance it. Okay, Blue Cruz, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, work with it. In other words, and you can do it as often as you'd like. Okay, but if you're sitting there watching TV, or you're sitting there just listening to a book, take your hands and concentrate on it and start working with it. As you practice, as you get more adept at it, you'll be able to separate your hands and feel the energy between them. Okay. Now, I can right now, my hands right now are about shoulder width apart, ish. I can feel the energy between them. Okay. But that's me normally. I've been doing this and focusing on it since the day I was born. Okay. So one of the things that you do is once you can get it wide enough, you'll love this one. Okay, I'm gonna teach you two things that work like a charm. Number one, when you can get it around your ankle. Now I'm gonna show you the movement. You're on, we're on video, so for those of you watching, you get your hands separated. Okay, enough that you can put them on either side of an afflicted part. And this does work, be it when you're dealing with other people or with yourself. The energy doesn't know, it doesn't care. It's going to work anyway. Okay, but now you can, in your case, Christine, you've got a 2-inch run. If you're working to help somebody's body heal, okay, you do the exact same thing. Get your hand close to whatever you're striving to heal, whether it's a pulled muscle, whether it's a toothache, a headache, doesn't matter. Bring your hand within a half an inch to within a quarter inch to half an inch. Do not physically touch the body. Okay, and you concentrate on it as it gets stronger, and you'll feel it push. Back your hand away, but still hold that thought around the word heal. And Lauren Fowler, how you doing? Glad you could join us. LA is just letting us know. Now, understand, I never studied martial arts, but LA is letting us know that, LA goes, I learned a similar exercise in martial arts, develops the chi and strength in the body. I use it daily. The neat thing about it is once you can get your hands separated by about 1.5 feet, I think, and I may be wrong, but you'll be able to figure this part out. As you get your hands pulled out far enough, and you can still feel the energy between them. If you've got a headache, for instance, bring your hands back equidistant around your head. As you're bringing the hands back, feel that energy. Now, you will feel it slow down. Bear in mind, it's trying to go through matter. Okay. Now, once you get it back, hold it over your temples. That's usually where your head, where the head is, or where the headache is sitting. Okay. Concentrate on the word heal. This will bring the energy down and break the headache. Now, I do this myself, but I've done it for countless other people. Okay. The other thing you can do if you can't arrange that, even taking your hand, like when I snapped this arm, when I snapped my left arm, my right arm, I simply took my hands, my left hand. Bear in mind, when I'm talking about chakras, and this is something I'm in the middle of documenting for everybody, there are major energy chakras on your fingertips and on the palm of your hand, which means if you cup your hand into kind of a claw-like setup, in your guy's case, you'll have 5 fingers involved. I virtually only have 4. But that's an odd setup. But what I did with my left hand is I simply put the fingers around the break. I took a wound that was supposed to, according to the doctors, should have taken 6 to 8, it should have taken 4 to 6 months before it even started to heal. Okay. I managed to bring that bone completely healed and documented in 9 days. Now, what do we got here? Thin Lizzy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Here we go. Thin Lizzy's going, I did energy work on people doing hair. and I didn't realize it till years after. Everyone would be at ease with me and relaxed. And that is one of those neat little things. Okay. And what do we got here? Now, here's another neat little thing. I'm going to teach you a funny little detail there, Thin Lizzy. The other thing you can do, if you're really stressed, okay, many people say, oh, you're really stressed. And I've told you, find some really fast-paced dance music. Find it as high, crank it as high as socially acceptable. Okay, and let it run. This increase in the energy will make things a whole lot better for you. It'll bring your mood up. That's just the way it works. Don't take my word for it. If you're feeling down and you haven't done this before, find the fastest dance music you can find. Crank it as high as socially acceptable. In other words, let's not go breaking either decibel laws, as in making yourself deaf, or breaking city bylaws. Okay, you crank it up. That increased energy will bring your mood up. But here's the other thing you do. If you're feeling overstressed or you're feeling like you got too much energy and you just can't slow down, take your hand, doesn't matter which one, okay, either hand or both. Take your hand, put it palm down on something solid. Again, I do mean in this case, literally on something solid that usually sits on the ground. Whatever you do not do this while you're touching somebody else. That's just rude. Okay, also don't do this to a baseball bat. Because what you do is you feel the excess energy run out of your hand into the ground, into the object, and straight into the earth itself. By doing that, you will feel yourself get a little heavier. And I know some of you are striving to drop weight, and that's a whole different ballgame. Okay. Yeah, LA goes, dance like no one's looking, but do make sure no one is. It's kind of like I was told I saw it written one day. Many people get home from traveling, and this one woman goes, I got told it's best to walk around the house without any clothes. When you get home, it'll help you relax. And then she turns around and goes, it turns out the police seem to think you got to do that inside the house. But you put your hand palm down on something solid. You feel the excess energy run out of your body. And Thin Lizzy, yes, that is literally energy grounding. Okay, the reason I'm telling you to use your hands is, to me, it's a stepping stone. Okay, now I do the same thing. If you've caught a cold, take your hand, palm down on something solid, and feel that excess, that negative energy drain out of your body, much like water out of a faucet. What you'll find is you'll break the illness. If you're using modern medicine and it works, continue using it. This is to be done in tandem or in conjunction with other methods. Actually, the good is you actually can. Christine's just going, I live on the 3rd floor of my apartment building. I don't think I can do true grounding unless I go outside to the actual ground or earth. This, you'll be happy to know, is a misnomer. You take your hand doing this, you can be sitting in your living room, put your hand on the wall, on the chair that you're sitting on, doesn't matter, as long as it normally sits there. The energy will run out of your body, through the furniture, through the walls of the building, and we'll head straight for the ground. Okay, think of it this way. Do not do it this way. If you take a glass of water and you're standing on your balcony and you turn the glass upside down, the water will not jump sideways into the building. It will get to the floor. Okay, if you want to do it the other way, a little bit more demonstrative, pour trickle the water onto the wall of your building. See if it gets all the way to the floor. Of course, I will warn you, in the summer, if you're on the third floor in a concrete building, the water may not make it all the way to the floor, to the ground. But I think they call that evaporation. Okay, these are just a couple of the things you can do. Okay, now for those of you aiming at dropping weight, okay, now I love the fact that everybody is in a hurry today. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. Yeah, LA is just corroborating that. It's a neat little idea. You know, as long as things are sitting there. Now, I will tell you, you can actually do the same thing when you're in an airplane. Okay, while you're flying. The thing you got to remember with energetic healing, you're literally working one molecule to the next. If your intention is to drain it to the planet, it will pass through air. This is why I say use your hands first. Okay, I don't use my hands to do it. Okay, but I'm going to show you a couple of other things here before we get done. Okay, when you're doing that, you will find your energy level starts to climb. Now, I've done the same thing repairing my optic nerve. Okay, it used to be, if I go back 15 years, if I held my glasses right there, like a foot from my face, I could not physically see them. Now, I've got 20/20 eyesight for reading. Okay, that's if I'm holding the book in my hand. If I'm striving to read the computer, doesn't work that well. Still working on that part. Okay, the other thing that you've got that it would be wise to remember is whether you believe you can make this happen or you believe you cannot. Inevitably, you're likely to prove yourself correct. Okay, and this applies to a lot of things in life. One of the big things that we got to remember, okay, when you're dealing with dropping your weight, this same idea of dropping the excess energy, the excess weight, will actually work. Okay, it takes time, and clearly, if you're still putting 4 liters of Coke into your body every day and eating mac and cheese, pasta or heavy carbohydrates, I don't care how much you'd like to lose weight, you're not going to. It's very much along the same lines of turning around and going, we've got this cesspool, we've got to drain it. So we're going to start draining it by bleeding the energy out. But you still pour sewage into the back end of the cesspool, it's not going to drain. Okay, this is why I say it's all connected. Okay, now there are a few things I haven't been able to correct yet. Elaine goes, I like Tai Chi for energy work too. Oh, yeah, Renee, I should go back up there. Renee is saying, and I don't think I saw you come in, did I, Renee? Or was that?
You mentioned her.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Wasn't I have trouble remembering I have trouble remembering. But, sure, go and do that to myself. Yeah, Renee practiced Tai Chi years ago and was shown and felt the energy as you just demonstrated. Holding hands close at first, then expanding. I can still feel the energy with my hands far apart. And this is fantastic. Now, I will tell you, this can be done in unison. In other words, you get a group of people together. If you hold hands, okay, and you concentrate on the same thing, you'll feel the energy run through the circle. The faster it goes, the higher the energy field goes, the wider that energy is going to be felt from yourself to the people around you. Okay, energy does not require physical contact. Okay, and if you're talking to somebody claiming to be a Reiki master, claiming to be an energy healer, I will tell you wholeheartedly, in my opinion, if they still tell you they require physical contact, I'm telling you they have not mastered it. Okay, the other thing I was going to mention is most people that are taught energy work are taught to bring the energy in through the crown chakra, down through the body, all the way to the heart chakra, and then spread it out to your hands. Okay, but people are always talking about energy hang-ons or energy vampires, this sort of thing. Okay, and I'll finish that in 10 seconds here, sort of. Thin Lizzy is going, I think of smudging people as drawing out the black sludge from them. Fabulous way to think about it. And quite honestly, it's not entirely wrong. Okay, we are bombarded with negative energy, and this is why I tell people that it's absolutely imperative that we start working on this whole idea, because everything is connected. Now, going back to that chakra issue, most energy healers, especially in the Reiki field, are taught bring it down through the crown to the heart and out through the hand. But so many of them come to me complaining that they're exhausted because of that work. Now, when I started doing it, I used to draw people's energy into me and then let my healing rate take care of it. But here's the thing, okay? You bring the energy through your heart chakra, out through your body, and you take your hand to point where you desire it to go. Okay, that energy is going to leave little odds and ends. It's going to leave little particulates. And one of the things you got to remember, just like water going through a pipe, sooner or blood going through your arteries, as it does, it's going to close things in and seal. It's going to plug those arteries. It's going to plug the energy flow in the pipes. But picture, if you will, you've got a tap full of water, tap running water. Now get this. Okay, don't take my word. If you haven't tried this, if you haven't experienced it, go and do it after we get done here. Got a few more things for you. Okay, but you take that straw, you take that running water, take a normal straw, just tip the end of it into the water. Okay, and what you'll find happen is the water hits the straw, just like coming into your heart chakra, out your hand, and to wherever you're pointing your hand. Now, here's the neat little kicker. You take that straw and you point it around, you can redirect where that water is going. Okay, but here's the reality of it, and this is why I don't recommend doing that. When I draw energy to me, yes, I still bring it through the crown, but I bring it over the outside of my body, and I still run it down the length of my hands to direct it where it's going. Okay, in all fairness, I don't have to, and neither do you, and I'll get to that momentarily. But now you've tried the straw. Now take a rod, and just for simplicity's sake, this will make it real easy. See this funny thing called a pencil? It's a rod. It's a solid pipe. Okay, take the edge of the pencil or pen, stick it into the water, into the stream of water, and then move it around. You'll still find the water flows around the outside of it and gets redirected where you'd like it. Okay, it still will get particulates building up on it over time. Absolutely it will, but it won't slow the water flow. It won't slow the energy down at all. And the big difference is, okay, now you've got a bunch of buildup on the outside. Energy flow is still running perfectly. You're not tired. I still recommend clearing the energy periodically. Okay, but then it boils down to you literally put your hand on the outside. Okay, run it down the length of your hand, and you'll brush all the excess off. These are just a couple of things that work like a charm. Okay, now, that said, I was going to mention something about prayer circles. And, LA just pointed out, prayer circles of all religions can run an energy line that like nobody's business. Absolutely they can. And this is one of the things I do look at the religions and go, hey guys, you did get it right. Okay, if you'll notice, when you put your hands palms towards each other, very similar to the whole concept of the positioning of hands for prayer. Okay, now the neat part about it is this. In the Christian religion, you put your hands together to pray. The energy is still going to go through. Okay, when you look at evangelicals, they are praying with all the added support of the congregation. Okay, when they bring their hand, now why they go, I really don't know. Okay, maybe that's showmanship or something, but when you smack them on the forehead, I don't know the purpose of the smack, but putting the hand on the forehead is a way of transferring that positive energy. And yes, positive energy will help heal somebody. And I've seen it knock out occlusions in optics. Okay, I've seen it correct energy flow. I literally pulled a young lass out of a wheelchair with it. Okay, so the nice part about it, when you look at the Christian religion, they put their hands together to pray. When you look at some religions, and pardon me for not remembering which one does what, but when you look at the way that certain religions pray, and they get down on their knees, and then they bow down and they touch their hands and their forehead to the floor, to the ground, they are literally draining that negative energy out of them. And the nice part about that whole maneuver is it's a two-way run. The positive energy comes right back up from the planet itself. Philip Blair, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, oops. Philip, this would be my fiance, Kira. And definitely not alarmed because there's another chap sitting up on the bookshelf, man. Where the hell's the bookshelf? Back over there. Yeah, back over there. Turn things around in my head. But no, that would be my fiance.
Hi.
So when we're looking at the whole concept of energy work, it works in conjunction with modern medicine, with the accepted methods. Okay, this is not a replacement, but do understand, while you're healing your body, if you've got a doctor that is actually on the ball, when they do the blood works, they'll find that there's more and more of the medication not being absorbed by your body. They will be the ones to cut you back on it. Although really important that you got to realize, if they're not doing it automatically, ask for them to check. If you're feeling better, absolutely ask the doctor you're working with to check and test you. They cannot, everybody's got their flaw. Most of your doctors are human. Okay, pretty much guaranteed they're corporeal. Okay. Oh. And just actually, the reason I'm squinting at it is because I can't quite read. But Joanne has literally said, Kira, stay a while.
Oh, that's the plan.
The nice part about the whole thing, okay, is because all of it is connected. This is one of the reasons why I work this way. And I will tell you, for those of you wondering, well, do you do remote healing? I do. I do know how to. The reason I don't is because, number one, it is almost impossible to get functional feedback from somebody when you're doing remote healing. I still recommend, absolutely, if you work with it, do it. Okay. I have done it. I made the mistake of doing remote healing through a computer one day. Worked great for the person on the other end. The computer, not so much so. It threw up the hardware from a 3.5 inch flop, 3.5 inch disk drive. Okay, which might give you an idea how much energy I can run. It's not necessarily a good thing. You know, one of the important factors that we got to realize is, again, you've got to simply accept that it's possible for this to work. Okay, energy can be used for a lot of things. Okay, and over the next number of months, we're going to cover some of the other ones as well. The biggest thing that you have to realize is this is in conjunction with modern medicine, naturopathic medicine, things like pranic healing, reflexology, acupuncture. Okay, also diet. Okay, when we're talking about looking at your diet, remember, now I had a problem with it. My parents used to say, never put anything in your mouth that you can't pronounce. Well, that was a problem for me. Okay, because there was a lot that I could pronounce that I probably shouldn't have. The other thing to keep in mind, especially where diet is concerned, there's this massive fallacy out there. If it's natural, it's healthy. Bad news. Arsenic is natural. It is not a great idea. Okay, and I wouldn't call it a health food. Philip, that's terrible. I love it, but it's terrible. Philip goes, if your remote needs healed, first try changing the batteries. That's just terrible. But yes, ultimately this is correct. Now I will tell you, one of the things that you can do with that energy, okay, I actually had a client that came over and her car died. The battery on it died. Now I am no mechanic. Okay, I'm lucky if I can find the oil cap. But I asked the woman, because her battery had died, and I asked her I said, okay. I said, where is your battery supposed to be sitting? And she goes, she says, what do you mean? I said, well, is it supposed to be on the right or the left side? So she told me, right? And I said, okay, we're going to start your car, but immediately go to the gas station, go to the shop, get your battery replaced because this one ain't going to work long, right? So I held my hand over the bumper, over the hood of the car, concentrated for a few moments, for a minute or so, and then told the woman, I said, okay, fire it up. She goes, but the battery's dead. I said, I know, so fire it up anyway. So she fired it up, and it fired. I says, do not shut it down. Go to the shop right now and pick it up. Up here, that would boil down to Canadian Tire. Okay, any place you can buy a battery. Okay, I told my dad about it, and he goes, Keith, you've got to be very careful with that. He didn't tell me it was a bad idea. He just said, look, make certain if you're going to do that, make certain you're careful because if you overcharge it, you can blow a battery up doing that. Okay, the fun part about it is that energy is very much it's a very powerful healing technique. And yes, clearly it works on corporeals. It can work on electricals. But if you do it without paying attention, you can cause a lot of damage. Okay, and yes, that does mean if you push things terribly. Thin Lizzie goes, don't taste the batteries. Good thought. I like that. Phil goes, I just realized, I literally just visualized someone I know or who used to have an electronics repair shop. The neat part about it, All you're doing when you're looking at self-healing is you're passing your ability to heal on to every other things. Understand it is all connected. Okay, the whole 9 yards of it is connected. Now, yes, there are more things we can do with the energy, but the real catch to it is do your own research. The more you understand what you're working with, the easier it's going to be to visualize. Now, where it came to putting my eyes back together, making them work. Okay, I came across a book that was written back in the 40s. I can tell you it's called The Bates Method to Better Eyesight Without Glasses. Okay, I've got the ISBN number in my records. I even know where it is. Okay, if you're looking for that book, it's got techniques that I utilized in order to repair my optic nerve. Now, I still haven't got back to the point where I don't require glasses at all. Where do we go? And Fair goes, buzzing your tongue on the 9-volt batteries. Yeah, well.
I hated that.
I used to do that.
Everybody who thinks it's fun is like, I'm like, what is your problem? It hurts. Why would you do that?
I'm not calling it fun. I did it because I didn't know what it was. People told me about it, so I gave it a shot. I will tell you, that's not a good feeling when you end up testing that. And in my case, it was very much by accident on a 220 line.
Ouch.
Now, of course, a friend of mine tried the even better one. He tried it with lightning bolt. Not a good thing. He lived through it, by the way, twice. When we're looking at self-healing, it literally boils down to understanding every cell in your body can be reprogrammed to pass on a different message or to work as a different unit. When modern doctors tell you nerves cannot regenerate, politely put, they're overstating it. The one thing that I did find, I found it with static electricity. I'd sit on a chair when I was just in kindergarten, and you'd get all of us sitting on the chair and just rubbing our feet on the carpet. And then you touch the metal chair leg. There were a lot of kids that hit the wall. This, by the way, is not a brilliant idea. Yeah. LA goes, I got hit with electric fence one day. That was not a happy thing. I'd like to know who picked up the fence to hit you.
Who did you make mad? Goodness sake.
Yeah, and Thin Lizzie's gone, my husband told me stories as a kid. Yeah, virtually everybody. Thank you so much, LA. Just been warned that we're down to 7 minutes. Virtually everybody has done a number of things that, let's say, were better left not done. Okay, but every one of you has the capacity to literally do, and I'm going to steal a line from somebody a long time ago. The things I talk about that I have done, the line I'm going to steal is this one. All that I do, thou shalt do, and more. In other words, if I can do it, so can you. Okay. Now, there are things that I would recommend you not do. Okay. I'm sure there's things that people have done that, would not be advisable to do. But understand, if one person can pull it off, it can be done. There was a chap years ago that used energy to literally stop himself from doing a pancake act from 30,000 feet. It was documented. It was proven. One person. Okay. Now, I never understood skydiving to start with. Why get out of a perfectly good aircraft? In his case, it was accidental. The first time. And for that matter, the second time. But when we're looking at self-healing, that energy I was talking about, absolutely. Number one, again, take your hands, palms toward each other, separated by a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. You'll feel something between them. You may call it heat, you may call it pressure. I had one person describe it as bubbles. Okay. And then once you've got it and once you can feel it, concentrate on it, work with it as you separate your hands. Get them separated as far as you can. It will take effort, but you're talking about a muscle. Okay, so work with it. And the fact of the matter is, you can take that energy and transfer it to another person. This is what's called auric healing. Okay, there are a staggering number of charlatans out there. Be aware of this. The first time I witnessed auric healing, I looked at that. I come in, I was in a fair. Very long story cut, very short. I watched what this woman was doing. I had never been to a psychic fair. She told me she was doing auric healing, told me it transfers the energy between her aura and the other person's and meshes together to provide auric healing. I'm like, that's a great, and I'm looking at this going, well, if that's the case, shouldn't there be energy running from their hand, from your hands to their head? I'll tell you, this was not a good way to make a positive impression. The reaction was a little less than amicable. Okay, for those of you that can see energy, okay, and I don't know whether you will. Some of you may be able to see the energy running between my hands. The reality of it is that I've done this with people for years. Whoop. Oh, there we go. Oh, the LA goes. A cow knocked me into the fence. Stepped on me and I couldn't get away.
Ow.
Well, that's just plain rude.
That is rude.
Mind you, in all fairness, cattle aren't the most sociable individuals where it comes to people. Now, with this in mind, before we run out of time altogether here, that's my coffee over there. I'm just getting this is that real neat, inconspicuous notepad I've got, also known as a desktop calendar. Tomorrow, we are going to be dealing with astrology, some notable discrepancies. These are things I've discovered. Okay. Then on Tuesday, we are going to be looking at Feng Shui, a new perspective. And then jumping because we won't be on air on Friday, on the 14th. Sorry, guys, that's Valentine's Day. I'm not going online. Okay. But then on Saturday the 15th, we're going to be looking at near-death experiences. Okay, and ways to deal with that. And I'll tell you, it can be entertaining. It gets a little redundant after a while. Oh, that's just terrible. Now that's retaliation at its finest.
Oh,
the cow bumped her and bumped LA into the fence. How rude. And LA goes, that's okay. I had steaks later. But I really do appreciate you guys sharing your time with us tonight. Absolutely love it. The questions. Thank you so much for that. We will be back again tomorrow. But until then, do take